Hey guys, what's up? George's Chess Channel here, back again with another video. And in today's video, I'm going to be analyzing a tournament I played and that you also can play at the link in the description. There's a link to a team. If you join that team, next month we will have a tournament. So I'll start off with the first game between me and another player as black. I played e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, bishop c5, and b4, the Evans Gambit. The Evans Gambit is a nice weapon in blitz. Bishop xb4, c3, bishop h5. This is all theory. A d4, exd, castles, knight ge7. And so here, usually if your opponent doesn't know theory, they play knight f6, and after e5, they're in some sort of troubling position. But knight ge7 is the correct move, and I feel like black is probably roughly equal here. So I played knight g5, attacking f7, and the main line I'm pretty sure goes with d4, exd4, and like knight xd4, and knight takes here, I think, or rook e1 check, and it's pretty complicated. But my opponent played castles, which is actually a blunder because after queen h5, h6, knight xf7, we have a discovery here, and black just has to give up the exchange. So I took with the bishop, and we see another blunder, king h8, which allows for the stunning mate after bishop takes h6, queen f8, and bishop c1, a nice mate. You don't really get to see bishop c1 mate every day. So a nice miniature in the Evans Gambit to start off the video. Then I'm going to go into the second game between two players who are not me, and one of them finished second in the tournament. So they went e4, c5, knight f3, e6, knight c3, knight c6, bishop b5, knight f6, bxc6, d3, bishop e7, bishop g5. So right now the players are basically just developing and doing what's natural in the game. Bishop g5 is a kind of weird move because I thought you would want to keep your bishop since your pawns are on light squares and you have a good dark square bishop. But I guess this is also a plan, trying to put the bishop on f4. So here we see a nice tactic that actually does work because this bishop is hanging here. And you see bishop takes e7, knight takes c3, bishop takes d8, knight takes d1, and rook takes d1. So this leaves black up a pawn, and so black really managed to play well from here, managing to basically get all his pawns raging up the board, and it's a real show of how to use your central pawn advantage. Castles, d6, d4. d4 is not the best move. You probably should have played something like rook e1 or maybe b3, just not trying to undouble his pawns, because now the pawns, they really start rolling, as you see. Here, black just basically pushes all his pawns up the board, and white can't really do anything about it. Yeah, black just keeps on pushing, and yeah, very nice game by black. He just basically got a central pawn advantage, and then pushed all his pawns up. And yeah, here he won a lot of material because of an unfortunate blunder. But the main idea of this was to just push the pawns up the board, and after this, it was mate. So that was a nice game by some other players. So I'm going to go into another game now. And white was rated 1550 and black was rated 1790. So a closely rated game. e4, e6, knight f3, the French defense, the two knights variation. We see takes, queen e2. This queen e2 move is pretty peculiar. I thought a more natural move would be d4 or bishop e5, but queen e2 was also a pretty good move. And here he takes. Notice the queen is pinning the bishop, so I guess queen e2 really paid off. Castles and b4, he keeps the pawn. What I would like to see from black here is probably something like a5, attacking the pawn, and if they play a3, you take, and then you can take their rook. And what they probably would have to do is they probably would have to take here, and then after bishop takes, you can win back your pawn. And black is probably like much better. But we see bishop g4. Another move you could have played is knight c6, just directly attacking the pawn. And then after b5, I guess you could go knight a5. That's another idea. But bishop g4, that's also a good move. h3, bishop h5, queen e3. Queen e3 is pretty peculiar. He probably wanted to get his queen to d4. But if you ever get your queen to d4, then knight c6 comes and kicks your queen away, and you lose the pawn. But queen e3, rook e8, aligning with the queen. This is a good move. Queen d4. And here you can actually just win the queen with bishop xc5. But black missed that, and instead play knight c6, queen d3, takes here, queen d2, bishop xc5, bishop e2, takes, and yeah, here black is just completely winning, absolutely dominating. White king is stuck in the center, or not stuck in the center, I guess he just got out of the center, but here black is much better. Bishop b5, probably there's some sort of sacrifice here, but I guess it's reasonable that black didn't want to go for that. So we get takes, knight a5. And here white sort of starts to make a comeback, actually. Here white is not completely losing, I wouldn't say, down 2 pawns. But then black just brings all his pieces into the attack, gets here, and then, yeah, when you're attacking what happens is your opponent often makes like blunders. So king h1, just a 1 move blunder, unfortunately. Better would have been something like king g2, but I guess h4, h5 comes either way and you're lost. So yeah, this position is just really bad for white. But he just ended up blundering his queen, which ended the game pretty quickly, and that was mate. So now we're going to go into a third game between white, rated 2097, and black, rated 1699. So we have e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop e5, a6. So we have the Ruy Lopez, bishop a4, knight f6, d3, defending the pawn, d6, not going for any aggressive d4 setups, c3, bishop e7, and bishop c2, a peculiar move. Usually in the Ruy Lopez, you just wait for b5 to come before you played bishop c2, but white had the idea to meet b5 with the immediate a4. So after bishop c2, h6, h6, sort of a confusing move. Sometimes you play h6 because you're going to play bishop e6 and castle queenside, but you already played a6, so you already have a hook. So h6, I think probably castles was slightly better. h6, h3, h3, not sure what this does, but I guess you prevent bishop g4. Bishop e6, bishop e3, queen d7, knight bdd2, b5. So yeah, we see b5, and the reason b5 is bad is because you don't really have enough control of the center, and after something like d4, like white's just going to get a very big center with threats like d5, threats like e5 sometimes in some positions, rook c1, nice pressure on the c file. But here white went along with his plan to play a4, which is also a good move. And after b4, d4, white just controls the entirety of the center and really showed how to basically break in the center when your opponent is playing on the flank. Takes, and d5. e5, the knight has to go back to g8. This is a sad position for black. And after castles, black was getting pretty desperate here as he played bishop x h3, gx h3, queen x h3, and yeah, this position is just completely lost now for black. Knight h2, queen g4. White managed to trade off some pieces, trades off the queens, trades off some more pieces, and puts a lot of pressure on black. Closes up the king side, sacrifices the knight but wins it right back, and then doubles on the file and manages to get a pretty mate. So that was that game. Now I'm going to go to the final game between me, 2238, and 1945 rated player as black, and this was the deciding game of who won the tournament and who lost it, or who came second and who came first. So I went e4, e6, d4, d5, and I went for knight dd2, the Tarrasch variation of the French. This variation avoids the bishop b5 lines or bishop b4 lines that often plague white in the regular whenever variations. So dxe4, knight xe4, bishop e7, and knight f3. Usually some better moves other than bishop e7 are knight d7, knight f6, and bishop d7. All three have their own variation in the the Rubinstein French. Bishop e7, though, is also a good move, but less good because I think after bishop e7, white is already significantly better. Bishop e7, knight f3, knight f6, bishop d3. So simple development. Black castles, I castle king side, knight c6. So knight c6 is another very strange move. What is probably better is b6 or something like knight bd7 or preparing c5. When you don't have c5, it's like white basically gets a free center. And in the game, black tried to play e5, but you can never really play e5 because I have a rook here and a bishop coming here. So knight c6 was not the greatest of moves. c3, bishop d7, rook e1, knight xe4, bishop xe4, bishop f6, bishop f4. Simple development by both sides at this point. Rook e8, another good move. And queen c2. So this unleashes an idea to basically either black is going to get some crippled pawns or he's going to have to lose a pawn. And then the game he ended up wanting to lose a pawn. So g6, knight e5. And what I was talking about crippled pawns is if he just plays a nothing move like here, he's going to get some crippled pawns, and I can probably try to win them somehow, or play like b4 and put my queen here to pressure it. And I'd probably win some of those pawns somehow. Or in the game, what happened was knight xe5, dxe5, bishop g7, and I just took the pawn on b7. So yeah, from just a space edge in the opening, I was able to win a pawn. bishop f3, c6, b3. In these types of positions, what I would suggest you do as white is just be very overcautious. Don't allow black to get his pawn back. And especially in a blitz game, you just want to play some moves quickly. b3, g5, bishop g3, rook b6, rook d6, c5, doubling the rooks. And yeah, here I have a lot of pressure on this bishop. And if I were to double up on this, the rook would be pinned. Bishop d3, f6. And yeah, I just ignored my opponent here, as what he was doing was not that important. And yeah, I got a good position. And here, another instructive idea. When you're in a blitz game, you really just don't need to overcomplicate anything. Here, my opponent sacrificed a piece to get a promoted pawn. And I could simply take this pawn. He goes here. I could push my pawn. There's really no threat because his king can never come in. And if his pawn comes in, I just win it. But I just made sure, 100% sure, like I was going to win the game. And after a few moves of stalling, I managed to checkmate my opponent. So that was that tournament. And if you're looking for the final results, here's the final results page. Perilous Pawn, which is me, coming first. Navot 123 coming second, and Caribou Old Guy coming third. Thank you all for who participated, and thank you all for watching. If you want to participate next time, check the link in the description. And also, if you want to see this tournament, check another link in the description. I'll post a link to this tournament and a link to the team page, which you can join. And if you would like to feature one of your games in one of these tournaments, then if you join the next tournament, I can feature one of your games. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time.